Hey everybody! Welcome to this matchup of the Link to the Past All Dungeons RMG tournament. With me today is Matt7898. We've got a great matchup between Trinexx and Osse. How are you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Blue?
I'm great. I'll let you take it away.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, this is an interesting matchup here. We've got Osse101 versus Trinexx. So this is Group E of the A Link to the Past All Dungeons Restricted Major Glitches Tournament. This is actually only the second match that's being played in this group. So in the first match, Osse took down the number one seed in this group, DoomTap. And for Trinexx, this is his first match, so he's going to have a busy week. So he's got to finish 2 more of these by Friday. So we're going to get started here in about 20 seconds or so, I think. So I guess I'll start by introducing this speed run a little bit. So this is a category of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. And so you may have seen the more popular No Major Glitches speedrun. This is a run of what's called restricted major glitches. So you're going to see some more sequence breaking glitches. I'll talk more about them as we get into them. But first, our runners are still going to have to go through the escape sequence before some interesting things start to happen. So it looks like we're getting started here. So from what I can see on the runners' splits, I think Osse's running against his sum of best, but I think he has a 112 personal best, which is a very, very respectable time. And the other thing is, I don't think Osse has done a ton of speed runs of this game. I think he's more known for the randomizer, more specifically the SMZ3 combo randomizer. And Trinexx, I see, is running against a 1:18:10. I would suspect that Trinexx has a large PB in him. Trinexx has a pretty good time in the No Major Glitches speedrun. So I expect him to be able to improve on that time fairly easily. So what we're going to do now is make our way through the escape sequence. There's not a ton to talk about in the first 2 splits of this run. These guys are just going to go head down to the basement, grab the princess, take her to the end of the sanctuary, and then kind of move on to the more interesting parts of the run. So yeah, so we're getting to the end, near the end of the group stage of this tournament. I would say close to half the groups have finished all their matches. And we got a pretty interesting bracket getting lined up here. So the group stage ends, I believe the last matches are going to be on Friday. And then after that, the top 32 qualifiers are going to move on to a double elimination bracket. And I think there's going to be an option for a lower bracket for any runners that don't make a good group stage. So there's going to be a lot more of these matches to come. So as the runners make their way to the basement here, this is kind of the first real danger of the run here. They're going to have to take down this ball and chain guard. Looks like both runners are going to go for the 8/ strategy. Trinexx taking a hit, but it looks like he's kind of recovered there. Both getting sub 3-minute key grabs, so nothing too much to complain about there. So you might be wondering what we mean by restricted major glitches. So in the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, the speedruns are kind of categorized by what glitches you're allowed to use. Some of the glitches in this game are extremely powerful, and basically what this run does, it kind of bans a subset of the most powerful glitches. So you're going to still see these runners clip through walls and things like that, but they can't like get on a different layer of the game or do wrong warps or things like that. And the other part of this run that they're required to do is complete all of the dungeons. And so kind of what that does is it turns this into more like a regular speed run of the game. The route in the All Dungeon speed run kind of ends up being a really nice route and a really nice speed run, just the way the sequence of the game works out. And it eliminates a lot of the things that people don't like to do in the no major glitch speed run. A lot of the overworld movement that can be kind of tricky and a little boring really gets taken out. And this category, really after the first 10 minutes or so, is pretty action-packed. And so now you're going to see these runners make their way through the sewers here. There's lots of snakes, rats, and bats that they have to avoid. You're not in too much danger here, but if these guys can get in your way or bump you once or twice, you're going to try not to lose a little bit of time. And both runners really neck and neck getting through here. They both have decent escapes going. So in the room after this one here, they're going to have to get a key from a rat, and this rat can give you a few different RNGs. Both runners not getting great RNG, with the rat moving to the top left of the screen there. When that happens, it's a little frustrating, costs you a couple seconds, but especially in this category, escape really does not matter. So as we get to the end of escape, we're going to get an indication of whether or not these runners are going to take really one of the best safeties in this run. This run allows you to get the silver arrows very early, and the silver arrows really help with the upcoming Helmasaur fight, which is a real sticking point and point of danger in this run. So if you see the runners grab the Sanctuary Heart here, it's a pretty good indication that they are going to do the silver arrows route. So I see both runners save and quit, so that tells me that neither runner is going for the silver arrows route. So that's good. This run's going to be very interesting then. So now both runners are making their way to Eastern Palace, and there is a very optional glitch coming up, which is kind of the first of the so-called major glitches that the runners can do in this category. It is called the Citrus Clip. And it looks like Osse is going for it, while Trinexx is not. So this saves about 8 seconds or so. So what you're going to see Osse do here is clip into the wall using sword buffers. It's a very tricky thing to do. Most of these clips are done using the boots, which we do not have yet. That was pretty good by Osse. He failed it once or twice, but he still might have saved himself a second or two. You can see he got into the castle slightly before Trinexx did, despite the little bit of trouble with the citrus clip there. So now Eastern Palace, still pretty much the same as in the NMG speedrun, if you've seen that before. One slight difference is that neither the runner picked up the Sanctuary Heart, which most runners do in the NMG speedrun, and the reason for that is that they want to get the full heal before the Palace of Darkness segment, which is the next segment, which is a much more challenging segment of the game. The other thing you see our runners doing is purposely boomeranging those popos instead of killing them. You don't need to collect rupees in this speedrun. because we don't pay the monkey to get into Palace of Darkness. There's a clip that's done through a cave that gets them in there. So this room coming up for Aussie is a little tricky. What he's going to do is bounce off this popo here to use invincibility frames to pick up that pot and hit the switch so he can grab the big key. Both runners executing that pretty well. When you only have 3 hearts, it's a little dangerous. All right, so now you're going to see Aussie grab the bow here. That skeleton will get out of his way. And then he's going to make his way to the back where he's going to fight the boss of this dungeon, which is the Armos Knights. Both nicely executed Greeny's room there by both runners. So coming up on Aussie's side after this cannonball room are probably the two trickiest rooms in this dungeon. This is the Zelda gamer room where you have to kill both of these skeletons as well as the red Igor. Trinexx getting good RNG there for his kill. Both runners executing both these rooms very well. And so now Aussie is going to go to the Armos Knights fight. What he's going to do is stand in the top right here, fire 5 arrows to the right, and then 13 arrows downwards. Really nicely done. That was a really good Eastern by Aussie there. Looks like Trinexx had no trouble cleaning it up as well. All right, so we're through Eastern. The boring stuff is over. Now the run really starts to get interesting. But first, we have to pick up the boots from Sahasrahla. Now, the boots are what let us do a lot of the major glitches in this category. Boots are useful for clipping into walls using what's called a dash buffer, where you hit the boots, or dash with the boots as well as hitting a direction at the same time. It allows you to clip into walls. And they're going to pick up these bombs here to do a bomb clip. Neither runner doing a chest turn on the bomb chest. Slightly disappointed in them. All right, so now you see them pick up the Sanctuary Heart. That is to get a full heal. So this is the beginning of the Palace of Darkness segment. So things really start to move quickly here. What they're going to do is go up Death Mountain, and since they don't have the gloves, they're going to do a Death Mountain ascent by getting into a spin speed state, which involves releasing your sword and hitting the dash button at the same time. That's going to allow them to clip into this wall, and they're going to do a series of specific movements to get into this cave with the old man that gives you the mirror. So Aussie having a little bit of trouble, but both runners executing that pretty well. Even kind of slight input mistakes during the Death Mountain Ascent clip will put you in the wrong place, and you'll be forced to do one of a couple of backups, both of which cost a bit of time. But that is not a problem for either of our runners. So now you see Trinexx here. He's going to return the old man to his cave, grab the mirror, and then we're going to do a trick called the Kiki Yeet. Now, this is another optional glitch. I expect both runners will do it. So Trinexx using the stairs. There's 2 different ways you can do this. It's a little trickier, I find, using the stairs. Both runners getting it very well. So what that does is you go off that ledge a specific way, and it kind of yeets you across the screen and allows you to get into this cave. And in this cave, we are going to do a bomb clip. So all of the cave and dungeon maps are on a single plane, and just coincidence that pod and this particular cave are located next to each other, so we can clip into pod using a bomb clip from this cave. Now Trinexx now only has one more shot at this because we only picked up 3 bombs, so he's got to get this right. Otherwise, he's got a couple options. So Trinexx is in a little trouble here. He can't clip into pod. What I would suggest that he does right now is do Hera. So he's opting to save and quit. I'm not sure what he's going to do right now. As we see, Osse, he got the clip into Palace of Darkness. So he's in pod. He was in pod in a cave state, and in a cave state, you kind of have unlimited keys, and so he used that to open the front door, and then now he's going to go through pod kind of normally. So it looks like Trinexx isn't sure what to do. Trinexx, if you're listening, you should do Hera. So as you see Osse here going and grabbing the big key, he's going to drop down here and grab a small key, and then we're going to see him do the hammer jump. So Trinexx is going to these bushes. He's using some of that randomizer knowledge right now, knowing that there are 2 bushes in front of I don't even know what that place is called, but if you slash those 2 bushes, you have a 50-50 chance of picking up a bomb. So it looks like he's back on track here. Going to try that pod clip again. And on Osse's side, we're about to see him do the hammer jump. How this works is you place the bomb on a specific Y pixel, and then you move Link to another specific Y pixel, and you can clip through that rail and grab the hammer. So in the RMG speedrun, the hammer jump is one of the trickier glitches to do, but in this speedrun, it's kind of a lot easier than a lot of the more difficult ones that we have to do. Now, Trinexx has got a few more chances at this. That looks okay, and there we go. We're back on track. Trinexx is in pod. All right, so Osse is heading to really one of the most dangerous and biggest run killers in the All-Dungeon speedrun, which is the Helmasaur fight. Normally, you fight Helmasaur with a couple more hearts. As well, you have the Master Sword. And that the sword upgrade is a really big difference in equipment in that the Fighter Sword, which is what Osse has, will not damage Helmasaur. So he's going to have to use either some combination of the hammer, arrows, or he can also use Fighter Sword spins. Nice turtle room there by Osse. All right, so here's the Helmasaur fight. He's got to hammer the mask 17 times while dodging Helmasaur's attacks. So Helmasaur can whip his tail, shoot fireballs. Now he's got to hammer that jewel 4 times. So Helmasaur not giving him the friendliest pattern here. Switching to the arrows. He's got to shoot 2 arrows into the jewel now. That was pretty good. Any Helmasaur fight you exit alive is a good Helmasaur fight. So Trinexx getting through the hammer jump there, and he's going to make his way down to the Helmasaur fight himself. So after the Palace of Darkness segment, we're going to head to the Tower of Hera. So again, he's going to head up back up Death Mountain. You're going to see another series of clips to get into Tower of Hera. Actually got Trinexx here, making his way into the Mimic's room and then onto Helmasaur. All right, so on Ossie's side, there's a couple different ways you can get into the Tower of Hera. Looks like he's using the dash buffer method. This is one of the reasons the boots are so useful, is that you can just kind of dash buffer into the cliff ledge there and get right into Tower of Hera. Now, kind of unlike Palace of Darkness, we're actually fairly over-equipped for Tower of Hera. A really good selling point of this run is that you can fight the boss of Tower of Hera, the Moldorm, with the hammer. In the RMG speedrun, Tower of Hera is probably the biggest reset point, but in this speedrun, it's significantly easier. So Trinexx taking a hit there in the turtle room, that's going to make his Helmasaur fight much more dangerous. Now he can only take one hit from Helmasaur. As you see Ossie here, getting the boom dash to give himself a bit of a break in the tile room here. He's on those pegs that are giving him iframes, preventing those tiles from dealing damage to him. So Trinexx got the mask off, line himself up to do some hammer hits. Okay, so he's taking his one. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough fight, especially when you take a hit before Helmasaur. So it's a bit of an unfortunate death on Trinexx's side. As you see Ossie getting through the beetle room here, having a little bit of trouble, but cleaning it up pretty nicely. And on Ossie's side, we're going to see the second bomb jump of the run. This is used to get across the gap to get the Moon Pearl here. Pretty nicely executed on his side. You see Trinexx making his way back for round 2 with Helmasaur. Alright, so here is the Moldorm fight. Much easier than in the RMG speedrun. All you gotta do is hammer the Moldorm's tail 3 times. Ossie getting through it with no trouble at all. Alright, so Trinexx got all 5 hearts coming into Helmasaur this time, so he's going to have a slightly easier time, although Helmasaur is still a very dangerous fight. Helmasaur also not giving him the friendliest patterns here. So on Ossie's side, we're going to see what's called the Death Mountain Descent. We have no way of getting to the western side of Death Mountain, so he used a spin speed clip to get through that wall that will allow him to get into this part of the map and get to Thieves Town, which is the next dungeon we're going to do. I see Trinexx cleaning up Helmasaur there. Nicely done on his side, and so now he's back on track again. That was a bit of a rough pod segment for him. So now Thieves Town is pretty similar to the RMG run. The main difference is that we have the fighter sword instead of the master sword. So a lot of these enemies that normally you would dash through and be able to kill with the master sword, will not be killed with a fighter sword, so you have to be a little more careful to stop your dashes at the right point and avoid taking damage from these horsehead guys or the skeletons. So coming up in Thieves Town is probably the most difficult part of the dungeon. This is called the Hellway. It's called that for a reason. So he got bad RNG there. Normally, or some of the time, you can get on a specific pixel and dash right through that Hellway, but obviously getting it with 2 dashes with very little trouble there. Nice recovery with that bad RNG. So now obviously he just has to bomb the floor here and make his way to the basement of Thieves Town as Trinexx makes his way into the basement of Tower of Hera. See Trinexx mentioning in chat that Pod sucks, and that is true. Pod sucks. So in this room that Osse is coming into, normally you'd be able to pick up that large rock there in the middle of it, but since we never picked up the gloves, for some reason the game opens that door on the left if you kill all 3 enemies in that room. I don't know why, but for this speedrun, it's extremely useful. So now Osse going to go down to the basement, grab the maiden, who, surprise, surprise, is actually a horrible monster, and he's going to make his way over to the left side here, where he can get the Titan's mitts. And so the reason why we do Thieves Town right now is specifically to get this item, which then allows us to get the Tempered Sword in the next segment. The damage upgrade from the Fighter Sword to the Tempered Sword is pretty huge. And having that sword, or a upgraded sword, is actually necessary to beat the game. So now Osse going into the blind fight. He's going to pull the maiden into the middle of the room here, and they're going to reveal themselves to be this horrible monster. The blind fight is scripted, so if Osse does the same movements, blind will do the same movements every time. It takes 9 hits to kill blind. Osse is on script so far. That is a really, really good blind fight right there. Looks like Trinexx took a fall on the Hera bomb jump, I believe. So he's going to have to make his way back up through the dungeon. So on Osse's side, the next dungeon we're going to tackle is the Skull Woods dungeon. But before that, he's got to do a bit of a shopping trip to get the book, which is only needed in this speedrun to get the Ether Medallion. And he's got to collect the Smith, which will turn his fighter sword into the tempered sword, as well as he's got to collect enough rupees to get the flippers. So it looks like Trinexx got through the bomb jump, got his Moon Pearl, and is making his way to the Moldorm fight here. So it looks like Osse is going for the frog door. This is a very slightly faster version of getting the book and collecting the Smith. It looks like he's executing it pretty well as Trinexx cleans up his Moldorm fight and is going to move on to Thieves Town. So on Trinexx side, we're going to see again the Death Mountain descent. So you just got to dash down here, dash to the left, put a link in the spin speed state again by charging his sword and then hitting the A button a frame after releasing the spin. He's going to bonk upwards and then get down the mountain. As you see, Aussie paying the Smiths his 10 rupees, about to get his tempered sword. So now the damage upgrade from the fighter sword to the tempered sword is very significant. It's a big part of the reason why this is routed in as early as it is in the run. It makes especially the upcoming Mothula fight significantly easier. So now Aussie about to hopefully get the fence dash. Nice. The most important trick in the game. Now he's got to grab one more chest of 300 rupees here. And now his shopping trip is done and he can make his way into Skullwoods. Now Skullwoods is done exactly the same as it is in the RMG speedrun. So you see Aussie about to enter the worst room in the game, the mummy statue room. So what he's got to do here is kill these two jellies, move the statue over the switch there. He's having a little mummy party right now, but it looks like he can clean that up pretty good. All things considered, that was a pretty good mummy statue. So we got Trinexx here, about to bomb the floor in Thieves Town, and Aussie, you're going to see the third bomb jump of this run. This one's much less dangerous than the Hera bomb jump. You just need to get across this gap to grab the fire rod. Those Moldorms giving him a little bit of trouble, but nothing he can't handle. So one thing that at least I've learned about the speedrun, taking it up for this tournament, is that it is extremely difficult and it's extremely unforgiving, as kind of we're seeing on Trinexx's side here. There have been a lot of good runners in this tournament that have put up some really bad times. And that just kind of speaks to just the overall difficulty of it. There's so many difficult clips where one small missed input can really destroy your split, and some of them completely destroy your run. So we got Aussie here making his way into the Mothula fight. Have another little mummy party in this room, but still cleans it up nicely. So in the Mothula fight, what he's going to try to do here is time a dash to get a double hit on Mothula. He didn't quite get it there, but Mothula given him a really friendly pattern. All it takes is 4 slashes with the tempered sword, and Skullwoods is done. As we see Trinexx entering the blind fight. Gets to the blind script again. Looks like he's gotten through phase 1, no problem. Oh, taking a hit there, so he's a little off script now. He's got plenty of hearts, but he's going to have to improvise a little bit. Blind off script is incredibly difficult, but he cleans it up pretty nicely. So the next segment is the Desert Palace segment. So Aussie's going to have to do another little bit of a shopping trip here. These next 2 segments for Aussie are the kind of real run killers. Both Desert and Mire, which is after Desert, are very difficult to do well. And there are a lot of tricky clips that can give you some difficulty. So you see Osse clipping into Hera for the second time this run. We're going to do that once more as well. So he's going to get spin speed off of those stairs and make his way to the ether tablet. And so this is the only reason why we got the book, was to get this ether medallion so we can get into Misery Mire in the next segment. So we got Trinexx here, about to pick up his tempered sword. So on Osse's side, we're going to see like another version of the Death Mountain descent. This is similar to how we got to Thieves Town, but this is done in the light world. And by dashing down here, by clipping down here and dashing to the right, we can get to the Zora area, where we need to get our flippers for Swamp Palace. Looks like we've got a double frog door in this race, so that's pretty impressive. So now Osse forking over his 500 to the big fish, getting his pair of flippers, and now we're going to make our way to Desert Palace. Desert Palace is a deceptively tricky segment. You're probably not going to die in Desert Palace, but there are a few things you need to do, like the Land Molars fight can give you a little bit of trouble. A couple of these clips that you're going to see Osse doing in the next minute or so can give you a bit of trouble. So now on Osse's side on this screen, there are a couple ways you can do this screen. Looks like Osse is going for the bomb clip that allows you to get through this ledge. Nicely done on his side. This saves you a few seconds. And now we need to get into the mire area, but we don't have the flute. So what we do is we clip through this little ledge here. That looks good. Nicely done. And so the game is kind of still in the rain state, and it doesn't exactly know what to do, so you get that little graphical glitch. But once Osse mirrors here, everything kind of goes back to normal. And so in Desert Palace, we do this kind of backwards. He entered through the left side here, and so he's going to grab the small key and then make his way to get the big key and mirror out, as we see Trinexx himself entering into the worst room in the game. Trinexx doing a pretty good job here. Those mummies are really trying to get in his face, kind of trying to kite him out to the other side. It's actually not a bad idea. So good recovery there by Trinexx. He's going to get his big key and make his way to get to the fire rod. So you're going to see Osse grab the key, and he's just able to mirror out. Really saves a lot of time in Desert Palace, which is kind of one of the more boring segments in the RMG speedrun. That mirror cuts out a lot of dashing. So now Osse is making his way to the Land Molars fight. In the RMG speedrun, the Land Molars is really one of the more difficult bosses to do well, but in this speedrun, we have the fire rod, which should make it easy to get a one cycle, but in practice, the Land Molars can give you bad RNG. They can kind of go every which way, and it can make getting the one cycle more difficult than it really should be. It's a nice little cutscene here on Osse's side as we got Trinexx making his way to the back of Skull Woods. So let's see if Osse here can get the one cycle. He's going to line up and charge a sword spin, and then try and use fire rod shots to finish off. Really nicely done. That was a great Lambo fight right there. Osse looks like he's putting together a pretty good run. He's not running against his PB, I don't think, unless he got a 10:58 somehow. It looks like that was a gold desert, so congrats to him. See Trinexx in the same Mothula fight. Mothula not being as friendly to Trinexx as he was to Osse, but still able to clean it up pretty good. That was a pretty good fight right there. So now we see Osse entering Misery Mire. Mire is one of probably the most difficult segment in this speedrun. A lot of things happen in Mire. We're actually going to enter both Swamp Palace and Tower of Hera and get the hook shot in this split while we're in Misery Mire. So things get real interesting here as we see Osse entering the best room in the game, which is the Mire 2. Looks like he just missed that last Wizrobe there, but he can clean it up pretty easily. So what we're going to do in Misery Mire is go over here to the right and grab 2 keys, one of which is actually going to be used in Swamp Palace in a couple minutes here. Now Trinexx about to do his shopping trip to pick up the Ether Medallion and the flippers. So we're going to keep an eye on Osse's torches time here. The torches time is kind of less of an indicator in the All Dungeon speedrun as it is in the NMG speedrun, but it's still kind of a good idea of what Osse's pace is. So that's a 40.25. So I would guess, I think his PB is like a 112.40. So I would guess he's ahead of that or pretty close to it. Oh, so we're seeing the Mire bomb jump here from Osse. This is newish tech. So he's got to do a couple save and quit buffers here to clip through this rail. Second try, but I think that's still a time save, even if you do it second try. So I just got to be a little careful here. He's going to get a heal in a second, but that slug can ruin his day right now. Alright, so on Osse's side, this is where things get real interesting in Misery Mire. What he's going to do here is set up a bomb clip to go through this wall. He's going to grab a couple fairies here, and he's going to end up in Tower of Hera. And so we're going to use Tower of Hera as kind of an intermediary to get to Swamp Palace. Now, this here is definitely the most difficult bomb clip in the game. Oh, it looks like Osse is going to use sword buffers. This way is a little bit faster, but a little bit more difficult. Wow, that was really well done. That is much more difficult than it looks. See Trinexx here doing a different version of the clip to get over this ledge to get to the Fluteless Mire. These kind of bombers here are really trying to ruin his day. There we go. It looks like he's cleaned it up. He's going to get to his Fluteless Mire. So Osse entering to Mire 2-2, doing the strat by firing the fire rod up the way he did there. You get a 50-50 chance to get a heart drop from that Wizrobe, which can give you your sword beams back so that you can finish that room the same way you did it the first time. Osse not getting lucky there, but still is able to clean it up pretty well. So he's going to grab the Cane of Samaria there and make his way to the mire basement. So we got Trinexx, got through the mire clip, making his way through Desert Palace. So on Ossie's side, you're going to see him pull out the cane and place a block here and throw it off this bridge. So what that does is it sets up the spooky action glitch that's going to happen a couple screens from now. You're going to see him dash buffer before laying that block on the switch there. That kind of preserves the game state that he created by voiding that block off the bridge. So now in this room, you're going to see him do a specific series of movement and do a fire rod dash. And what that's going to do is make it hit the anti-fairy, which hits a switch in the next room and puts down the pegs for him. And so now he's heading into the Vitreous fight. Vitreous is probably the second or third most difficult boss in this run. There's a specific strategy that he's going to use to take damage on the kind of goo here and hit the eyes with spins. Nice cleanup there. It's going to get a 1 cycle, but that's not a big deal. That was a very good mire by Ossie. That's going to be pretty close to his gold. Nice 1 cycle there by Trinexx on Lammo. So now after the mire segment, we have Swamp Palace. So you're going to see Ossie do another clip through a ledge to get from the Misery Mire area to the Swamp Palace area. As we see Trinexx here just starting his mire split. So this clip on Ossie's side is similar to the one used to get into mire. You just kind of dash buffer into this ledge to a specific spot, and then you can make your way into Swamp Palace. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. Ossie did a slightly slower and safer version than kind of the optimal way to do it, but still nothing wrong with with that strategy. Now the Swamp segment's another real selling point of this run. Swamp is kind of one of the more boring and terrible segments of the RMG speedrun, but because we grabbed the hookshot in the Misery Mire segment, a lot of kind of the travel through the dungeon is cut out, and the dungeon is made much shorter from that. So we got Trinexx here, about to start doing his clips in mire as Ossie makes his way to the back of Swamp Palace. Now, in the back of Swamp Palace here, we're very likely going to see one of the newer glitches that have been added to the speedrun. It's called Diver Down or Holy Diver, depending on who you ask. So normally in this room, you would have to push a statue onto a switch, but instead what you're going to see Ossie do is go down the stairs here, and he's going to use a Samaria block to push himself like further into this deep water here. And so if you go far enough in, the game basically puts you under the water, and you can just kind of walk right through there. And so it saves a lot of time because you don't have to put the statue on the switch as well as drain the water. So now Osse making his way into the Argus fight. We'll see if he goes for the Zero Cycle Argus. So this is a very difficult boss fight right here. He gets about halfway through it. That was a pretty good effort. Oh, he almost salvaged it. So he's going to get the empty cycle here, but that was a pretty good effort on his part. So we got Trinexx here about to do the Hera to Swamp clip. I expect from him we'll see the bomb clip version. So what he's going to do is bonk off the wall here, set himself up on one of two specific pixels, buffer to the right, and then dash left. That's good. Now he's got to do some sword buffers to get himself into position. That looks pretty good. There we go. Nicely done on his part there. So Trinexx going to grab the hook shot here, then make his way back through Mire. And on Osse's side, he's about to attempt one of the more risky, I guess I would say, clips in this game. This is the clip to get you into Ice Palace. He's going to do a hook dash here, hop onto this ledge, go to the right on a specific spot, line himself up and do a mirror wrap. So what he did there is hit left and mirror on the same frame, walk up to one of a specific set of pixels there, and then walk into Ice Palace. That was very quick, really well executed on his part. And so Ice Palace goes pretty quickly here. He's going to do a bomb clip through the wall here, and then he's going to hit this switch. Looks like he uses the cane. And now we're going to see another relatively new glitch called the Icebreaker. So what this is a door state glitch. It also uses the Cane of Samaria. So what Osse's going to do is buffer to the left, place a block, switch to the hammer, and then there we go. Then clip through that rail there. A couple extra pause buffers, but not too bad. See Trinexx on his side setting up his own spooky action. So now Osse heading into the Cold Stare fight. In RMG, Cold Stare is a real run killer, but in all dungeons, we're a bit better equipped in terms of health to take on Cold Stare. You see Osse going into the Cold Stare fight with 10 hearts, which is a lot safer than what you'd normally be in the RMG speedrun. As we see Trinexx doing a spooky action and heading into the Vitreous fight. Trinexx looks like he's putting together a really good mire here. So on Osse's side, he's got a Fire Rod, the Shell of Cold Stare 8 times. He's going to charge a spin. There's a few different ways you can kill Cold Stare. Looks like he went for the double poke there. That is the most difficult way of killing Cold Stare, and he executed that really well. So now Osse put together another really good split here in Ice Palace. He is on a pretty ridiculous pace right now, considering what his PB is. See, Trinexx cleaned up the Vitreous fight, no problem. Got a couple crystal cutscenes going on here. And Trinexx is actually putting together some pretty good splits himself. Ever since kind of his issues in Tower of Hera, he's running pretty far ahead of his PB. And so now in the Turtle Rock segment, the first thing we need to do is grab the ice rod. Again, there are a few different ways you can do this as well. So she's going to clip into the wall, pick up the rock, clip into the cave where you get the ice rod here. So now Turtle Rock is another segment that is made much easier during the ALttP speedrun, but the clip to get into Turtle Rock can be a little precarious. So now let's decide what he's going to do. He's going to do another dash buffer clip into this ledge, into a specific spot. And then once he gets here, he's got to do a series of kind of specific movements. And he's going to do another mirror wrap, similar to what you saw in the Ice Palace segment. He made that look really easy. And so now, kind of similar to Desert Palace, we kind of start Turtle Rock at the back, make our way to the big key, and then mirror back to fight the boss. As we got Trinexx making his way to the back of Swamp Palace. Hopefully we'll get to see another diver down out of Trinexx. Osse getting that slash on the switch in the Crystal Roll Room first try, which is way harder than it looks. See Trinexx here setting up his diver down. That's an interesting way to do it. Never seen that method before. That was pretty cool. So now Osse just making his way to the pokey here to grab the big key as Trinexx makes his way to the Argus fight. Convenient fairy there for Osse, going to make his Trinexx fight a little bit safer. See if Trinexx here goes for the zero cycle Argus. Looks like he's just going to do some slashes. So now, from the looks of things, Osse is about to defeat the first of two Trinexxes he's going to beat today. So I expect to see some backdoor strats here from Osse. He's going to get behind Trinexx, fire the Ice Rod. Oh, went for the dash poke. Didn't quite get it, though. Looks like he's going to clean it up nicely. All right, and with that, that might be a gold Turtle Rock for Osse there. I didn't see exactly what his catch time was. But given that his gold's a 519, I think that is going to be a gold T-Rock. See Trinexx doing his Ice Palace wrap. nicely done on his side. So the reason why the ice wrap here is very dangerous is if you go too high on that second screen, you hard lock the game and you have to reset. And that makes you lose 3 dungeons worth of progress, and it's really the ultimate run killer in this category. So that was not a gold T-Rock from Aussie. I think he was like half a second away. So now Aussie about to do Ganon's Tower. So what he's going to do here is the GT entry. He's going to clip himself into this kind of broken camera state and get into the portal that's at the top of the mountain. Come down here, back into the camera frame that he sees, clip into this rock, and get into Ganon's Tower. Now, we really could have done this at any point during the run, but just kind of conveniently works out that this is one of the last dungeons, and it's also kind of one of the most interesting dungeons. This segment of the run that Aussie's on is the most execution heavy. We're kind of done with the glitches at this point. Really on Aussie's side, it's kind of all about executing all of these rooms as fast as possible. So we're going to see the icebreaker here on Trinexx's side. That was a really well executed icebreaker by him. So we got Aussie making his way through the basement of Ganon's Tower. So we got Trinexx heading into the cold stair fight. So now on Aussie's side, he's going to fight the first of our 3 Light World dungeon refights. This will be the Armos Knights, and each of these fights has a little twist to it. The Armos Knights are now on ice, which makes them a little trickier, but I'm sure Aussie will be able to clean it up real easily. And we got Trinexx on the cold stair fight. Looks like he's going with the 6/ method. Got away from him a little bit, but he cleans it up pretty easily. That was a really good basement by Aussie there. Aussie here kind of using the iframes from the pegs to save himself from taking a couple hearts of damage in that room. Now heading to the 2 Mimics rooms. These are 2 of the most difficult rooms in the game to do really well. Both of those were quite well executed by Aussie there. As we got Trinexx heading into the Turtle Rock segment. So now these rooms that Aussie's heading into is what's called the Gauntlet. It's 5 rooms where you have to kill all of the enemies to advance. There's a lot of RMG in these rooms. This kind of section of Ganon's Tower really kind of makes or breaks your tower. That as well as the Aga 2 fight. Aussie not getting the best patterns, but really doing well with what's been given here. See on Trinexx's side, a different method of getting the ice rod. This is kind of the more traditional method that's used in the RMG speedrun. So now here on Aussie's side is the Landmo 2 fight. In all dungeons, it's pretty much the same as the Landmo 1 fight. Landmo getting away from Aussie a little bit there, but gonna clean up the 3 cycle here. So now Aussie heading into the Wizrobe rooms. Can use the cane here to clean both of these up really quickly, and it looks really nice. You see Trinexx about to take on his Turtle Rock Mirror Wrap. It's Trinexx using the bonk setup. It's a good way to get on a really consistent Y pixel so that you can kind of get your visual cue right. So Trinexx got stuck there. This has happened to so many runners in this tournament. Just like a small input mistake gets you kind of stuck in that ledge there, and you have to save and quit and go all the way back down the mountain and attempt to do it again. So Aussie here, 556 Moldorm entry, putting together a really good Ganis tower as well. And Aussie about to go into really probably the hardest boss fight in the game to do well, which is the Aghanim 2 fight. And so it's kind of ironically named in all dungeons in that we have not fought Aghanim 1 yet. But how this fight works is that there's going to be a real Aghanim and 2 clones, and you need to hit the real Aghanim with 3 of these reflectable shots. And the clones will always fire the reflectable shots, but the real Aghanim will not. As you see, Aussie not getting the friendliest pattern in that first cycle there, but getting a triple in the second cycle, so making up for that a little bit. Sure, not his best Aghanim 2 fight, but acceptable nonetheless. And so now that we've beaten Ganis Tower, we still have actually one more dungeon to beat before we fight Ganon. So he still has to do Aghanim's Tower, which is classified as a dungeon, unfortunately. And the other fortunate thing about this is that the boss of Aghanim's Tower is really the heaviest piece of RNG in this run. That as well as the Ganon fight. So what this category does is it stacks all of the RNG at the end, which some runners like. I personally don't like it, but I can see the logic as why people want to just complete their run and then let Aghanim decide whether or not they PB. So on Aussie's side, we're like vastly over-equipped for this dungeon. The dungeon itself is really no problem. Going for the chest turn on that key. Respect the effort there. So Trinexx making his way through Turtle Rock, about to grab the big key. So these 2 rooms here, probably the most execution-heavy rooms. On Aussie's side, the double spear guards room, as well as the circle of pots here. These rooms are much tougher in the RMG speedrun than they are in all dungeons, but still can be kind of tricky. And on the right side here, we're about to get a little Trinexx on Trinexx crime. See Trinexx going for the backdoor strats on Trinexx. Looks like he's doing all right. Missed a couple fire rod shots there, but it's about to clean it up pretty nicely. So Aussie, who is on what appears to be PB pace, is entering into the Ega 1 fight. And so now Ega 1 is going to decide how much of a PB Aussie is going to get. So how this fight works is that you need to hit Aghanim with 6 reflectable balls. And after the first reflectable ball here, now there's going to be 3 50-50 chances of what we just saw there is a blue ball or a reflectable shot. So Aussie losing 2 coin flips right there. So we got 2 in the first cycle. So now Aghanim's going to fire a lightning shot, and then you have a guaranteed reflectable shot, and the cycle just repeats. Aussie kindly switching to his PB split, so I can see that he is 20 seconds ahead. So I believe that was his 3rd blue ball. Yeah, so that looked like 3 on Aussie's side. I think, from the looks of it, his PB has 2 blue balls. So he's still going to be... I think he's going to be just a little bit behind going into the Ganon fight. And so the Ganon fight in all dungeons is pretty much the same as an RMG. One difference is that you conveniently get a full heal and full magic refill dropping into Ganon. Oh no, he's ahead by 10. Right. I can't do math. So also getting the bottom right pattern here from Ganon. So the other piece of RNG in this run is going to be the number of warps Ganon gives Aussie in the 3rd phase of the fight. You clean up the first 2 phases pretty nicely. So Ganon has a 50-50 chance to either warp or let you hit him here. So that's 2 warps. Ganon being pretty friendly here. I think he'll take 2 warps any day. So now he's going to light this torch immediately after it goes out. So that's what's known as the torch glitch. Now the right torch will stay lit throughout the fight, and he only has to light the left torch. This allows him to hit Ganon with spins 3 times each cycle that he lights the torch. So he's got to hit Ganon with 12 spins here. I think just 1 more. All right, and with that, get your GGs out for Aussie, who I believe is going to PB here. So Aussie finishing with a time of 1:12:34. That is a PB, so congrats to him. That was a really, really impressive run on his side. So we're going to try and get Aussie in here for an interview. And so on Trinexx's side here, we see him getting through the basement and making his way up Ganon's tower. So he's heading into the Mimics rooms himself. Looks like he's handling them pretty good. So Trinexx like a few struggles this run, but he's had put together some pretty good splits as well. I see a bunch of time saves here. And like I was saying before, this run doesn't give you any leeway. Like any small mistake in the all dungeon speed run is going to cost you a ton of time. It's happened to a lot of runners in this tournament. That sounds like we're joined by Osse. GG Osse, congrats on the PB, man.
GG. And thanks.
So yeah, that was a really impressive run that you put together there. You were running against your sum of best for most of it, so I couldn't exactly tell what kind of pace you were on, but I'm assuming you were aware that you were on PB pace?
Yeah, pretty much. The pod split was pretty slow, but I couldn't tell because my pod split is always slow. So I couldn't tell if I was like well ahead or like on par. Being on some of best was an accident. Just left it that way from yesterday, whenever I was last streaming.
Yeah, do you mind muting the stream you got playing there? Alright, so this is your second match, right?
Yes, second match.
So I think you're 2-0 here. So you're pretty much assured of advancing into the bracket stage, right? So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts right now after this race are that I play better in tournament matches than in practice. At practice run yesterday, or made 4 or 5 costly mistakes. And I was up at 117 about. But these 2 tournament matches have been really good compared to my PB, so that's giving me a good average time going forward.
Yeah, like I think you got 2 112s at this point, right? So that's going to put you, give you a pretty high seed.
Yeah, no big mistakes in my tournament matches, and haven't been going for any of the safeties that some people go for. So it's working out, but it's still not like 111 or 110. So I still expect to lose if I match up against someone who has a good day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and like it looks like you haven't really been running this for that long, have you? I only see like, is that attempts? 29 attempts on your splits?
Yeah,
getting
29.
112 with only 29 attempts. That's you're moving along at a pretty good clip here.
Yeah, I think I learned it a while ago, but then derested just for the tournament. I'm balancing it between this and the Super Metroid multi-category tournament. So I'm still not getting a whole lot of attempts in on all dungeons. Because Super Metroid is a much larger thing to learn. So I have to put a lot of time into that.
Yeah, that makes sense. All these categories and tournaments of the randomizer kind of spreads your time pretty thin sometimes.
Definitely.
All right, so that's kind of all the questions that I had for you. You got any other thoughts on your run or the tournament itself?
I guess not really.
All right, well, I'm going to watch Trinexx finish it out here. Feel free to stick around or take off. It's up to you.
I'll just be in chat and watch him finish too.
All right, well, GG's and congrats on the PB again.
GG.
All right, so we got Trinexx here. gonna finish off his run, making his way up Ega Tower. Nice job getting the key dash there in the guard room. Gonna make his way through the spear guards into the circle of pots, and we'll see how kind Aghanim is. I find that for me on my not so good runs that Agus usually takes mercy on me and gets it over with quickly, but we'll see how he feels about Trinexx here. Nice hook dash on the stairs there. Respect that. Alright, Aghanim. Well, there's one. Alright, relatively kind first cycle here for Trinexx. So it looks like it could be only one. Oh, I spoke too soon, apparently. So I think that means he's going to get 3. So Ega giving both runners the same amount of blue balls, so I guess no matter what happened in this run, it wasn't going to be decided by Aghanim either way. So Trinexx just has to sit through this cutscene, get through his Ganon fight, and then I guess we'll be done here. So like Osse, Trinexx is going to go for the 1-1 here. He's got to slash Ganon 3 times and then do a double spin as Ganon throws the trident. He's going to get another double spin and a slash, so he's got the first cycle. This is looking pretty good for Trinexx here. This kind of middle right Ganon is what I would say is most runners' favorite pattern. Friendly warp so far here for Trinexx. Not too bad. So you're gonna get 1 spin hit here, set up the torch glitch. Doing it from the top. So now he's just got to hit spin Ganon 12 times. think he lit that torch a little too late, so he's not going to be able to get the triple here. He's going to have to wait for Ganon to come back down to the bottom of the screen to get back on track. Pretty decent Ganon fight going here for Trinexx. And with that, get your GGs out for Trinexx, who is just a 1x3 bridge away from finishing his run. So Trinexx finishes with an official time of 1:24.16. So I think we're going to get him in for an interview as well. He says he's coming in.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be in shortly.
Alright, cool.
Just waiting for him to appear in one of the voice channels so I can drag him in.
So I think we have another All Dungeons match tonight in about half an hour. I'm not sure what channel that's on.
Yep.
Anyway, in chat.
Yeah, so there's actually one going on right now on ZSR, and I'm going to see about rating them if they're still going by the time we wrap up this interview. And then there is another one in about half an hour at the top of the hour. So definitely tune in for that if we missed the first one.
Nice. So there's plenty more All Dungeons action, and there's going to be a lot this week. There's a couple groups that are a little behind on their matches, so we're going to be squeezing them in.
Still no sign of him, unfortunately. Hopefully soon. There he is. 1 second.
Yo, Trinexx. GG, dude.
Good evening. Good game. That was fun. You know, I didn't have much expectations going into that, except that the 3 explosive things I practiced before the run, I failed completely hard. So that was great.
Yeah, man, that pod segment is rough. I actually had the same thing happen to me in my last group stage match. Did you have any thoughts when you ran out of bombs of just doing Hera instead of? I like the rando strat of getting the bush bombs, though. I appreciated that.
I had no backup. My initial thought was actually just a hard reset to get the bombs back, but somehow in my flailing, I somehow saved and quit, and then lost the bombs that way. So at that point, I was full panic mode, trying to figure out the best way to get them. So
yeah,
self-engrossing, just as good as anything to me at that point. So
fair enough, makes sense. So I see you still had some pretty good splits in here. You had a really good Desert and Mire, from what it looks like.
Yeah,
and
for my own terms, I think Mire was definitely a goal for me. So I can't complain too much about how some of that went. At the end, I was playing just as I expected to. My major failure was Ice Palace entry, which I just wanted to get at that point. I didn't want to do it fast. And then the Turtle Rock entry was kind of a crap show, but and that I just played it, just wanted to get through the runs. Just that's kind of the whole point of joining this. No expectations of winning, just gonna get some runs in. So otherwise, it was fun.
Yeah, it's a good excuse to do something a little different, learn a new category, and get some good competition in, no matter what happens, right?
Yeah, and plus the fact, there's always a chance that someone's going to fail hard, like, crashing on frog door or something like that there, but I managed to avoid at least those kind of things, but...
So this is only your first match, right? You still got you got a lot of work left to do this week.
Yep, I have my match with Doom Tap on Wednesday, and I'm still trying to figure out if I can get one with our other person in the group. Nice.
So how have you been enjoying just learning the run and the tournament so far?
Oh, it's been pretty good. This is my first tournament race, but just joining some stuff. It's a different feeling than the rain I've been doing recently, so it's nice to mix it up. And if nothing else, it gets me down into the glitches thing, so maybe I can start learning some more and maybe just try out different categories occasionally.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of expand your skill set there.
All
right, that's kind of...
I think my biggest failing, though, was not having a drink with me for the entirety of this run, which would have made it a little bit better.
Yeah, you need to smooth out that stroke, right? Just put some hair on your chest before your run.
Yeah, just line up shots of tequila as you fail something and just keep going down the line.
Fair enough. But I think that's kind of all the questions I had for you. If do you have any last thoughts on the run, the tournament, anything?
No, I just wanted to say thank you for doing the restream and all the commentary as well. I'll be fun to check it out later to see Osse's run there. That was a pretty good one. I think it was a PB based on what I was seeing.
Yeah, he did PB. He had
I know that they've been dropping their time pretty fast, so at least someone's actually getting their runs during this tournament matches.
True. And so with that, I think we're gonna sign off here. Blue, you got any last words here?
Nope. I just want to let you guys know. 30 minutes from now on main ZSR, Pika Pals and Super Nin Taylor in Group F. So be sure to hang out. Get up, stretch, get something to eat, then come back and see us for another group race here.
All right. With that, have a good night, everybody, and enjoy the rest of the week of tournament races.
Awesome.